Hey man, what's doing?
How diddly doodly there, Tom.
This is going to be a great episode because thanks to the social media and sending out prompts, you put it out there to the universe and be careful what you wish for. You get it in return, or you get it back. So we have some listener questions, and they're probably from all over the place. Maybe those who have listened to the show, and possibly those who are watching videos on TikTok or Instagram or whatnot. So I'm grateful for that. Like I said, I put prompts out. We want to help you guys out there, so we've gotten some questions in.
All
Of
right.
course, you can send your questions in to any of the uh, uh, places where you can comment on videos. You can send a question, we'll answer it. You can send it into the email questions at therapyonzip.com, and we'll do our best to answer. We'll answer almost anything. Of course, there's going to be some, jackholes out there that'll send in some interesting things and
Right.
kind of weed through them. But for the most part, yeah, I got my paper out, and we'll just kind of go through and see how we can decipher
Mhm.
these. Um,
Won't be answering how many times a day do you wash your eggplant?
how many times do you wash your eggplant?
All right.
Do you wash it whether it's needed or not?
And we bring that up just because if anybody does the New York Times strands puzzle, eggplant was a prominent feature in the puzzle today.
That's right. And I got the purple connections one right out of the gate. And you're right, man. It was challenging because it could have been so many different things.
Yeah. Yeah, for
Your
sure. It could
luck.
have gone in several different directions.
It was an eggplant kind of day. Make sure you wash your eggplant.
Right. So that's great that we got people, we got some questions coming in.
Yeah,
And I don't know what the last time you looked at it, but we got people listening from all over the world.
all over the world, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So send in your questions. We may not have the answer, but we'll we'll do our best to talk through it. And if we didn't get to your question at some point, I just keep a backlog of them and a whole list, and we'll just kind of work through and check them off as we go. So, and if we didn't
And we
answer it,
did.
send it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And just so you know, we did not prepare these questions. Like we didn't read them and prepare our response. So this is the
Yeah.
first time we're actually going to discuss them and throw stuff out there. So if we and ah for a few minutes, just let us go.
But that's
Give
kind
us
of
some
part of the
grace.
fun, right?
Right. It's
Yeah.
spontaneous, like right out of the gate. So now you can test our on the spot knowledge.
Yeah. All right, so let's roll. We're not going to give too much if people send in we're all about confidentiality and things like that. So we'll just maybe give a name and I'll try to omit some personal information, but maybe things, context that will be helpful regarding the question and for us. So let's roll with this. All right, sifting through. Jamie writes, I've heard a lot about mindfulness and how it can reshape our brains, but I'm always swamped with work and family duties. How can I start incorporating mindfulness into my hectic lifestyle? And what changes might I see? Well, thanks, Jamie.
Right?
Okay, so about
That's a
mindfulness.
great question right out of the gate.
Absolutely. Well, we're shit. Something happened on the other side of my wall. I don't know.
So mindfulness, people hear the word mindfulness and they run the other way. They're like, oh, there's those hippy dippy people that are doing trying to do all this,
Yeah,
kind of meditation kinds of stuff. And mindfulness, in my definition, is a word that just means I'm going to put the world on pause for a short period of time.
yeah.
Whether that's 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. You can't do it forever. I mean, I'd love to sit and do it forever, but that's not how the world works. But so mindfulness is any technique, breathing, meditation, guided imagery, just being silent and being
Yeah.
present, putting the world on pause. Nothing exists in the world for a short period of time, 5 minutes. And for that 5 minutes, all I'm worrying about and thinking about is being present, breathing, focusing on my breathing, and paying attention to my body, my
Yeah.
skin temperature, my muscles, those kinds of things. It's a whole, the definition is I'm putting the world on pause for 5 minutes.
Uh-huh. Well, and here's the big problem, Jamie, and anybody else who's experiencing having a hectic lifestyle is that you're always living in the future. You're living in the next 2 to 3 steps, and you're mindlessly relying on your autopilot to do those things. Like you're brushing your teeth, but you're not really brushing your teeth in your mind. You're thinking about work. You're thinking about who am I going to have to run into? Or today's the day where the district manager comes and we have to put on a dog and pony show. So mindfulness would be those simple things that you're doing right now that you're usually doing mindlessly, or well, not mindlessly. You're actually thinking about, the future. You're thinking about half hour from now or a week from now, is to get into the present moment just for, like you said, Brett, just for 2 minutes. I'm brushing my teeth and I'm focusing on, okay, this is the first one on the top right. Then now I'm moving to the second one. Now I'm moving to the third one. And now I'm, like instead of just quickly doing it so you can get on to the next thing and throw your pants on. People always end up finding themselves in this rush. And then shit happens, you go out the door and then you drop your protein shake and the bottle breaks. And then all of a sudden you're like, I didn't have time for this. And now I got to clean this up. I'll get it later, or now I'm going to be late. Just be in the present moment. Just like talk to yourself, narrate your life right now, and this can be really helpful. The more that you practice this, the better you get at doing it, and the more able you'll be able to be in the moment. So start small. Start with the brushing your teeth, or when you're taking a shower, or just doing something that is usually a rote, scheduled, mindless thing. Put yourself in the present moment and just try that. Then you can start incorporating some other things, like some meditation, like some deep breathing, like some yoga, like writing down the things that you're experiencing in life in a journal form so that you can kind of get those things out of your head. That can be a mindfulness practice. Anyway, so Jamie, thanks for your question. Sorry that you're having a hectic day or days. A lot of us are experiencing that. So just try the things you're normally doing where you're not in the present moment and bring yourself in the present moment. When you're cutting vegetables for dinner, instead of thinking about the movie you're going to watch on Netflix that night. Like, think about how it feels, chopping the vegetables. Where's your weight distributed? How are your feet planted? Can you feel the difference between the skin of the vegetable and the flesh as the knife goes through? I don't know. You know.
Right. Just being present, focusing on the task at hand. And this topic comes up a lot with people that we talk to on a daily basis. And it's that my mind is always racing and I can't sleep at night because my mind is racing and I'm thinking about all these things. And, my mind's going a million miles a minute all the time and I cannot quiet my mind. And that is a very common problem for many people in the world we live in with all the things we have to do. Um, it's very difficult to quiet your mind. And there are a couple of practices that I teach to help people quiet their mind. And I encourage people to practice this when things are going well. Okay, don't try to do this when you're in a rush and things are running and it's not going to be successful and you're just going to get frustrated.
Mhm.
But practice this for 5 minutes at a time, twice a day, when you're doing okay, when you're not in a rush, when things are going okay, and then you're training your brain how to do these techniques so that when you need to pull them out, when your mind is racing, you have some familiarity with it. And there's two things we talk about mindfulness, and that's clearing your mind and just being present, right? So thoughts will come into your head. You're just thinking about breathing, and you'll all of a sudden work comes into your head, or what I have to clean out the garage this weekend. Some of these thoughts, they just will keep popping in your head. And the more you fight them, the more energy you give them, the stronger they are. So don't fight them. What I teach people to do is and this is what I do, is I picture them in a balloon, right? And I always picture a yellow balloon for some reason, but I wrap work in a yellow balloon and I slowly just push it out to the left, right? So it's almost like a slow meditative thing. I put it in the
Mm,
balloon, it comes in the right, and I just push it out to the left.
I like that.
And that way you're not giving it energy, you're not fighting it, and you're just letting it go.
Yes, I like that.
Mhm. The other trick that I teach people is it's the game next I'm going to think about, right?
Mhm,
So let's make this analogy. So you go into a farm and you open the barn and the horse, you let the horse out, right? The horse is running all around the pasture. It's peeing over here, it's eating grass, it's, chewing on the bark on this tree. And
mhm,
that's your brain. Your brain is just running around being crazy, right? And your brain is the horse. So when you play the next I'm going to think about, you're putting your brain on a lead and you're leading the horse around the pasture.
mhm,
So how you do that is next I'm going to think about. Next I'm going to think about the project I have at work. Next I'm going to think about what I'm going to make for dinner tonight. Next I'm going to think about that party that I have to go to this weekend and who's going to be there. You are training your brain that you are in charge and you
mhm.
will lead your brain where it needs to go. And like I said, you can't keep that up forever, but practice it when you're doing well so that it can be effective when your brain is running around the pasture peeing on everything.
Yeah, you are in control of it, and you have to remind yourself of that. I have to remind myself of that. Sometimes we feel like we're victim to it. So thanks for your question, Jamie.
More
Okay,
than you bargained for, Jamie.
it's all good. Thank you. And of course, if you please send in more if you want us to answer more, or if you felt like we didn't answer it fully, that's all right. We are rating this cold, so all right. Eli. I struggle with anxiety and trying to get more into fitness as a way to help manage it. Are there specific types of exercises that are more effective for reducing anxiety? Ooh,
That's a
still,
good one.
that was a good question.
Yeah.
Well,
And
I, I,
go
I mean, I have a quick answer for that. It's the exercise that you're going to do.
for sure. I'm gonna start mountain climbing. Mm.
Yeah.
Unless I have a mountain in my backyard and I lose 100 pounds, that's not happening.
Yeah. Well, I mean, let's think about this from a couple different approaches. There are certain exercises, or let's call them training, where you have a set goal and you're working on that set goal. So you have a prescribed program that you're working off of, and so you already know what you're going to do when you walk into the gym or when you get home during your fitness exercise time. And then there's just exercise, which is just you just do this on a routine basis, going for a walk, doing Pilates or yoga or kettlebell swings or something like that. So if you're doing training, that can be sort of anxiety producing because it's really built on progressive overload. You're trying to go up in weight, you're trying to go up in repetitions, or you're trying to improve your time on something. And some days, you've got to get under, a 405 squat, and you don't want to fucking get under a 405 squat, but you got to do it anyway because that's part of the program. That's what you have to do. So that could be, so I guess being mindful of those things that produce anxiety for you. I think that definitely comes in with training or doing hard things. Like if you don't like running and you got to get up and throw your shoes on and go run, that might be producing more anxiety than it is reducing your anxiety. But those things that are enjoyable for you to do, where you go for a nice walk and it's a beautiful day and the sun's out shining and you get a nice little sweat on and you've got your podcast on, listening to Therapy Unzipped, and that feels really good. That could be relaxing and still a form of exercise and fitness. So, yoga, I've found that to be definitely relaxing and still pretty tough. You get into a vinyasa flow and you're getting into poses and maybe holding poses for a couple of breaths, and you're definitely sweating and you feel your muscles, you feel heat being generated. So, but the overall act of that the poses can be very rewarding and relaxing. So I think one, yeah, do the exercises that you are going to do, that you're going to stick to, that you don't hate. And those things I mentioned are the ones that tend to relax you a little bit, like, yoga or going for a walk. So that's what I would recommend.
Mhm. And remember, anxiety is generally worrying about the future. Depression is generally worrying about the past. So, that's where the whole mindfulness comes in. So, whatever exercise that focuses your attention on what you're doing.
Yeah.
Tom and I lift weights, and you have to be very mindful when you're lifting heavy weights because you're going to hurt yourself. So you have to get into a good stance. You have to get into a good hold. You have to get into good form.
Mhm.
Those things just made you focus on the task at hand.
Mhm. Anxiety triggers that fight or flight response. So if you're going to do an exercise that you know is going to trigger your heart, elevating, like sprints or, lifting heavy weights, then might not be reducing anxiety, but it could be a mindful practice. And that could be helpful because the anxiety, like you said, Brett, lives in the future. And if you're not thinking about your first client or what your day looks like, or you're not thinking about the baby shower you got to go to this weekend and what you're going to wear, then you can be in the present moment and that can be rewarding. So, great question. I
Mhm.
hope that helped, Eli.
Perfect answer. The exercise that you're going to do every day.
Right? Yeah, the ones you're going to do, man. Okay. Sid. Yeah, Sid.
Sid Vicious?
Sid Vicious. Yeah. Nice. Well, I was thinking Sid from Ice. Sorry, Sid. You're probably an awesome guy.
I know. And see,
Uh,
here we are just yucking up your name. Sorry about that, Sid.
uh,
Hey, I grew up as a Brett, so back off, dude.
right. I recently adopted a dog and feel like it's helped with my anxiety, but I'm not sure if it's just because I enjoy the companionship. How can pets genuinely influence or have an impact on our mental health?
Mm,
Shit,
love
that's
me
great.
them puppies for sure. Dogs have dogs, animals, cats, any pet has proven research study after research study to reduce the cortisol levels in your body. Just the fact of touching another living being, caring for it, um, it gives you a sense of purpose,
Yeah.
gives you a sense of belonging, and it's that unconditional love that particularly dogs and there's cat people out there that are gonna, come at me too, but that particularly dogs give you. I mean, they are your best friend their entire life. Um, you have them for a short period of time, but they are your best friend for their entire life.
I think dogs are absolutely magic. But I do love animals, pets, and people can have a variety of different
Hmm.
pets. I have somebody who has a pet possum, and it's part of their family, and they love it. It's an emotional support animal. I mean,
Hmm.
to me, I wouldn't think that would be great.
Right.
Freaking possum. All right. Hey, I've seen pictures of it like snuggled up with the whole family.
Wow, that's cool.
Yeah. So
I always loved when people had squirrels. I always thought that was cool.
I've seen that on TikTok. So we got a squirrel and they're like, and then the thing runs over and runs up
Mhm.
them and eats a nut or
Mhm.
that's pretty darn cool.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes I saw was a guy was talking. He's like, every dog that I've had that passed took a piece of my heart,
Oh,
with
yeah.
them when they died, when we had to put them down or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And then a new dog comes in my life and fills that gap.
Right.
He said, I just hope I live long enough that my whole dog is heart, or my whole heart is dog.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's endearing. Yes, it does take a piece of your heart. And yeah, we replace that with new ones, and then we get to know a whole new little personality, and it's a beautiful thing, Of course, we still love and think about and look at pictures of the ones that have gone.
Mhm.
Also, when you are petting a dog, we've heard this before, but it deserves mentioning. It releases oxytocin, which is one of the feel-good chemicals that we
Mhm.
have. Dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, endorphins. The releases oxytocin. That's like the love hormone. And when that's released in us and in them, It facilitates that bond and makes us feel good, which can reduce our anxiety.
Definitely.
Pet a dog.
Just then my dog came up and wanted to scratch, and I'm down here scratching.
Perfect. Yep.
All right.
That was a great question, Sid. Thank you.
Yeah, great question.
Okay, let's see. I find that playing video games relaxes me and helps. Oh, this is Casey. I find that playing video games relaxes me and helps manage my anxiety and stress. Could gaming be a form of mindfulness or therapeutic practice? And how can others use this approach effectively?
The first answer to that is absolutely. I mean, anything that you generally, anything you do, let's put that out there. Generally, anything safe
Right.
and
Right.
that you do.
No
Um,
absolutes.
yeah, that reduces your anxiety, that makes you focused, that makes you present. Um, it can be a form of mindfulness. You are very present in the moment, focused on that
Yeah.
game and trying to achieve the goals of that game. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, sometimes when we see problems with that is when people play a lot of video games and then start
Yeah.
identifying and their whole personality is based around that video game.
Hmm.
It's not just a stress relief mindfulness tool anymore, it's an escape. And my world is great as long as I'm playing video games. And when
Right.
I can lose myself in the video game, but when I'm not playing, that's when my life falls apart.
Right.
That's the
So
counterproductive end of it.
having some appropriate boundaries regarding that. And I mean, some of those video games I've played, and I'm not really a gamer, but like they produce a lot of like stress and anxiety for me because you're like, oh my God, am I gonna beat this guy? Do I have to go all the way back to, and there's a lot of stimulus, a lot of action, a lot of bright lights and flashing things. And I think if you're playing a game that is soothing and relaxing or a nice little puzzle or brain teaser, like that can be really good at reducing anxiety. But a lot of those, like first person shooter games and that's just for me. I mean, maybe others find it relaxing to play those, but when I see people playing those like online, when I see videos, snippets from like TikTok or whatnot, they seem like they're jumping out of their chair and they're screaming and yelling and like, how is that fucking reducing anxiety? And
It's
now,
making you forget about the real world anxieties,
yeah,
giving you artificial anxieties, and
right,
it can be a training ground. How do I manage my anxiety? How do I manage, my stress levels in this video game? And if you can apply those techniques, um, strategies, not by like, shooting your coworkers or whatever,
right,
but
right. Yeah.
but if everything in moderation and making sure it's just not replacement kind of stuff.
And Casey, I'd want to know, are you really in the moment? Like, are you really practicing mindfulness when when you're playing video games, I mean, maybe you are. I'm not denying that. I would beg to argue that you're not, because you ever watch people playing video games where they're just like their mouth is open, they're staring at the screen and their hands are doing the buttons, but they don't really know where the hell they are in space or time because they're locked into whatever that world is and whatever it is they're doing, but they're not necessarily in the present moment. I mean, they're sitting there, sure, but
Mm.
they're engaged in something else. So I would, I would wonder if it's really not a form of mindfulness, as much as you think it is. Maybe it reduces your anxiety, but I don't think it's a great mindful practice. But it could be therapeutic for you to escape from your day-to-day activities and for entertainment purposes. I mean, we're
Mhm.
not knocking that at all, but maybe
Yeah.
just not as a form of mindfulness.
Well, we do the same thing with TikTok or a movie. We
Yeah,
shut the world out and focus on these things. So, I mean, everything in moderation. If you're spending 8 hours a day doing it, probably not that
yeah,
healthy for you. You
yeah.
know,
I mean, when
spend
I'm
a couple.
watching TikTok, I'm not really being mindful. I'm engaged with whatever it is I'm watching, but
All
it's
right. Yeah, I wouldn't say it's mindful. I would just say it's escapism.
yeah, and that's okay.
Yeah, some escapism is great. Too much escapism, and you're just not handling the everything in your life. You're not handling real life.
Yeah, exactly. So great question.
IRL.
Yeah, IRL. Great question, Casey. Thank you. Please keep these coming, guys. We really appreciate this. I mean, this is what we want to do is help out people out there, help out our listeners. Anybody who needs assistance, whether it's for mental health or maybe for some fitness stuff or just health and wellness or just, weird, bizarre questions. We'll have fun with it.
Tasteless
Uh,
jokes. We're usually pretty good with tasteless jokes as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll read them on the show. Make us laugh. That's not hard. Okay. There's a bunch more. So we'll get to these. So I think we have time for one more. So let's see. Okay, Max. What's the most bizarre but effective piece of advice you've ever heard for maintaining mental wellness? I love trying out unconventional tips.
Good
Okay.
question.
That's really
Different
good,
things work
Max. I like that.
different things work for different people, right? So if it works for you, that's great. I mean, some of the crazy, some of the more non-typical things, panic attacks, sour candy,
Yeah.
cinnamon candy, warheads, hot sauce, hot candy, those kinds of things can alleviate exaggerated anxiety and even panic.
hmm
So,
That is a great piece of advice. Try that. That puts you in the present moment, right? Um,
if you're focusing on the pain in my mouth.
yeah. I've used
Hmm.
ice packs, or just ice. You could even, if you want to go a cheaper route, buy a sleeve of those paper like Dixie cups
Hmm.
and fill it with water, put it in the freezer, and then pull it out, and then you can tear the paper around the cup just like on the edge, and then you've got something to hold, and you can put ice on your forearm or on your neck and just kind of rub it around. Yeah, it's going to drip, so you might need to have a towel.
Hmm.
But that can be soothing. That could be putting you in the present moment. Changing your temperature has a tendency
Hmm.
to help, and I would recommend some ice therapy or cryotherapy. They
Hmm.
call it. I've had success with ice baths. You know,
Hmm.
um, I've done that a handful of times. Kind of a pain in the ass to set up, but I mean, you can just get some ice bags and throw it in the tub if you have a tub, or cold shower. But I like the colder. And it makes you feel pretty good afterwards. While you're in it, it sucks. Don't get me wrong. But
Hmm.
afterwards, you get a nice little hit of dopamine for a couple of hours
Hmm.
afterwards. So that's
Um,
what I
if you
recommend.
find the other thing that I've noticed is what is it? Change your space, change your mood or something. So, if you find that you're just kind of struggling, get up and move, walk, do something,
Yeah.
go to a different room, go to another, go walk outside, go do something. You can change your space.
hmm
And it can change. I mean, if you're sitting in your office or whatever, and you're just having this negative feedback loop kinds of stuff, and you're really just anxious, get up and move. Just the whole concept of getting up and moving. And then at home, if you're angry, eat. If you're angry at everybody, got to get something to eat, right? And not sugars. You get some lean protein or something. Get something in
Yeah.
you. Banana is always the best for me. And
hmm
then if you're mad at yourself, take a shower.
Yeah.
Taking a shower will change my mood instantly. And the other thing at work, I always kept a toothbrush and toothpaste. And when I've like had a rough phone call or a meeting or whatever, I would go brush my teeth. And it changed, it gave me purpose. I was mindful brushing my teeth, and it kind of distracted me and changed my mood.
Yeah. I keep kettlebells in my office. I keep a kettlebell in the truck. I've got kettlebells at home. I've got them in the garage. I've got them in the living room. I've got them all over the place. And I've just sort of bought them over the years. And so I have, I don't think I can go more than 5 steps anywhere in my spaces and domains without tripping over a kettlebell. And what I do, if I need to change how I'm feeling, I do some kettlebell swings, or I'll do some cleans or presses, or maybe even some squats with it, maybe some deadlifts with the heavier ones. And like that's I don't know. Maybe that's not the bizarre you were looking for, Max,
Mhm,
but I don't know. That's kind of an unconventional thing that maybe therapists aren't necessarily sharing, you know. It's probably more of journaling, meditating, you know, writing down tasks to do, also the changing your, you know, setting, that can be really helpful. Walking through doorways, I think that's kind of a bizarre one to me, but if you just need to change your mental or emotional headspace, walk through a couple of doorways. You'd
mm,
be surprised at what that can accomplish. Because you know, when you walk into a room to get something and suddenly you forget what it was you were going in there for. But if you walk back in the other room, suddenly you're in a different mind space and you remember, oh, yeah, I needed to grab my phone or something.
mm,
And then you can go back into that bedroom and go grab the phone. But walking through doorways, there's something, it's like a portal or something. There's something magical that happens when you walk through doorways. It just changes the whole, like I said, your mindset and
mm.
the mood sometimes.
Here's another one. So, particularly people that struggle with some self-concept, self-esteem kinds of issues. Do you know how, and for everybody, we always like to be complimented, right? When someone says, "Oh man, I mean, that shirt looks really good on you," and or nice haircut, or people give you compliments, it feels good. You can give yourself compliments, and you can trick your brain into the same kinds of responses that you get when other people are giving you compliments.
Yeah.
So what I have taught people to do is, particularly in the morning, it sets your day up. Let me backtrack on that. I'll come back to that real quick. But usually when I used to wake up, I would wake up and go, "Oh my gosh, I got to do this today. I got these patients. I got to go to this meeting, and then tonight I got to do." And, I would
Um,
start off my day like that.
yeah.
It's no way to start the day. So now I've practiced this for many years now. Is I get up and first I'm just I do some gratitude. I'm grateful. Oh my gosh, I woke up this morning. I got some good sleep last night. I'm healthy. Life's good. So I do the gratitude thing. I'm grateful, and then I plan my day around. Oh man, I get that meeting today, and I've been looking forward to this meeting because I really want to talk about. And I got these patients today, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how she's made some progress. So I turn all that around, still plan my day, but I do it with a form of gratitude.
Yeah.
Number
Very
one.
nice.
Then I teach people to go into the mirror, right after your shower or whatever, look yourself dead in the eye and start complimenting yourself. And you could even scream it, right? Because you get your brain's attention that way. Like if you're just saying, "Oh yeah, you're the most handsome man I've ever seen, and you're just
Right.
Superman, and you're just gonna kill it today." It's not doing anything for your brain. But if you get in that mirror and say, "You are like Superman. You're the biggest stud that's ever lived. You're just gonna rock it
Right.
today," and you give yourself that prep talk, it makes a difference. Your brain doesn't know the difference between you doing this and somebody else giving you a compliment. So you can kickstart your brain
Yeah.
um, every morning by yelling compliments to yourself in the mirror.
Love that. You're so good looking.
You're the
Damn.
most handsome man that's ever walked the planet. You are hot.
Right. You know, you could take the dry erase markers and write on the mirror, you know, and it
Mhm.
wipes off really nicely. So you can make your magazine cover of sexiest man alive. And then you make
But it's all funny
sexiest
and
woman
it
alive.
sounds like a joke, but it's true. It actually works.
Try it out.
You trick your brain into
Yeah.
that, and then it's you're releasing some of those good, endorphins that making you feel good.
Uh-huh.
Sets you up
Perfect.
for the
Those are some unconventional tips. And so I hope that helped, Max. Like I said, I think you were probably looking for, you know, put some hard-boiled eggs in your underwear and walk around for an hour. That helps to
Don't do
reduce your
that.
anxiety.
Don't do that. I taught that I used to do some groups, and I taught that technique in some groups back in the day, and I would make people like do it in the group session. Like, what are you going to do in the mirror tomorrow? I want to hear your routine. Everyone wants to hear your routine, and
Yeah.
people started like real like, "Oh, you're so handsome, you're so pretty."
Louder. I can't
No,
hear you.
louder, mean it.
Yeah.
So we always got, everyone like when we would leave that group and open the door, everyone in the hall would be like, "What the heck is going on in there?"
Right. I'm the king of the world. Yeah.
Well, you asked for it. What was that? Casey? Somebody asked for it.
Max.
Max.
Yeah.
You asked for it,
Uh,
Max. There you go.
Casey's the gamer.
Casey.
Well, thank you guys for sending in your questions. Keep sending them in. We will get to them. And if you don't hear your name or your question, just send it in again. No worries. We're here for you guys. So we'll be rolling with it. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and stay tuned for next week. We'll launch another one and hopefully some more questions. We'll get to the ones that we didn't answer today and we'll keep rolling with that. And of course, anything that you need us to talk about, send it in. We're here for you guys.
Mhm.
Don't forget to wash your eggplant.
Always good to see you, Tom.
Same. Thanks again. We'll see you next week.
All righty.